On August 15, 2026, high above the Pacific Ocean in Malibu, California, New York Knicks center Karl-Anthony Towns and model, entrepreneur, and Woods by Jordyn founder Jordyn Woods said, "I do." 6 years after they first went public as a couple, and just 2 months after Towns helped bring the Knicks their first championship in over 50 years, the two exchanged vows in a black tie ceremony that brought together two very different worlds. The hardwood and Hollywood, under one white floral arch, overlooking the ocean. Today we're doing something a little different. Instead of breaking down the entire guest list, best and worst, top to bottom, we're narrowing our focus to just one side of this wedding and one half of the guest list. The women. Because when you put this many actresses, models, musicians, and reality television alumni in the same room, all working within the exact same strict black dress code, the results end up telling a genuinely interesting fashion story. Some leaned into texture, some leaned into archival pieces with real history behind them. Some played with silhouette in ways that turned a restrictive dress code into a genuine creative outlet. And at the very center of it all was a bride who didn't just wear one incredible dress that day, she reportedly wore 3. This wasn't just any wedding either. This was 2 entire industries colliding in one venue. Current and former NBA stars rubbing elbows with Hollywood A-listers, musicians, and reality TV personalities, all under the same strict dress code, all trying to strike that balance between respecting the occasion and still standing out in a crowd this famous. And when it comes to the women specifically, that balancing act got even more interesting. Because so many of them came into this wedding with their own existing fashion reputations already attached. Quiet luxury dressers, avant-garde risk-takers, red carpet veterans, all of them working within the exact same black tie restriction, and all of them finding a completely different way through it. Standing at the center of all of it, of course, were the 2 people who actually got married. 2 people who met through mutual friends, built a friendship first, and only later became the couple everyone now knows, weathering a very public trade, a championship run, and years of shared loss along the way to this exact ocean view altar. But today, our focus stays on the guest list, and specifically on the women who showed up to celebrate them. The dress code for everyone else was simple on paper. Guests in black, bride in white. For the most part, everybody got the memo, and photo after photo from that afternoon shows an almost cinematic wall of black formal wear surrounding that one ivory gown walking down the aisle. But simple and safe are 2 very different things. And across this guest list, the women in attendance used that restriction to their advantage in genuinely inventive ways. When you take away color as an option entirely, every other decision starts to matter more. Silhouette, fabric, texture, the way a dress catches the light or moves with the body, and that's exactly where the real differences between a merely appropriate look and a genuinely great one start to show up. So today we're counting down our 10 best dressed women of the night, starting exactly where this countdown starts, with the bride herself. Quick thing before we dive in. If this is your first time on this channel, welcome. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because we break down a red carpet or a star-studded guest list just like this one every single week, and you don't want to miss the next one. I also want to hear from you before we get started. Out of these 10 women, who do you think actually deserves the top spot? Drop your prediction down in the comments right now before we get into the countdown, and let's see if you called it by the time we reach number 1. Okay, let's get into it, starting with the one of them wearing the most important dress of the day. Best dressed, number 1, Jordyn Woods. Topping our list is the bride herself, Jordyn Woods. And honestly, any other placement would have felt wrong. What makes her case for the top spot so strong isn't just one dress, it's reportedly 3. For the ceremony itself, Woods wore a custom strapless silk gown from designer Danielle Frankel, featuring a sweetheart neckline, a fitted, gathered bodice, and a sweeping, floor-length skirt with real shine to it. That lace scarf draped down her back did double duty, adding a piece of old Hollywood drama while nodding to old-world bridal tradition. And paired with the lace-trimmed veil and that cascading calla lily bouquet, the whole look read as considered down to the last detail, rather than pulled off a bridal boutique rack. Reports even describe Woods being adamant during her fittings that the bodice sits smooth through the stomach, and that the ruching along the skirt fall exactly right, the kind of hands-on involvement that explains why the finished dress reads as so deeply personal, rather than off the shelf. But the story didn't end at the altar. For the reception, she reportedly changed into a second custom Frankel look, a strapless lace gown with a thigh-high slit and ruched detailing at the hip, paired with a coordinating lace bolero with a hidden bustier and corset built into the structure underneath the romantic exterior, giving the whole thing a Grecian feel that complemented the ceremony gown while still standing completely on its own. And for the after-party, a third silk column dress rounded out the night, a lower, sleeker silhouette built for celebrating rather than walking down an aisle. 3 completely different silhouettes, 3 completely different moods, ceremony, reception, celebration, and every single one of them intentional, each one designed to tell its own small chapter of the same day, rather than just repeating the same formula 3 times over. What makes this run of dresses genuinely stand out, though, isn't just the silhouettes, it's the story riding underneath them. This is a woman who has spent years in the public eye, through a very public falling out with one of her closest friends, through the loss of her father, through 6 years of very public devotion to the man waiting for her at the end of that aisle. And she chose to meet that moment, not in one show-stopping gown, but in 3, each one telling a slightly different part of the same story. It's also worth noting just how quick the turnaround was behind the scenes. With Towns' schedule tied up through the NBA Finals for much of the summer, Woods was reportedly working with a genuinely tight window to find, fit, and finalize 3 separate custom looks. And the fact that all 3 photographed as flawlessly considered, rather than rushed, says a lot about both her own eye for fashion and the team she built around her to pull it off. Every other look at this wedding was, by design, competing to not outshine hers. And across 3 separate outfit changes, none of them ever had a real chance. And for that, it's a perfect 10 for me. Number 2. Kylie Jenner. Right behind her, at number 2, we have Kylie Jenner, who arrived alongside boyfriend Timothée Chalamet in a black gown featuring halter straps, dramatic waist cutouts, and a thigh-high slit. Beyond the fashion itself, there's a genuinely emotional story behind Kylie's presence at this wedding at all. She and Jordyn were childhood best friends before a highly publicized falling out back in 2019, one that played out across headlines for years. And it took a long stretch of quietly rebuilding that friendship behind the scenes to lead to this exact moment, standing beside Jordyn on one of the biggest days of her life. That context alone makes this a full-circle moment worth celebrating, regardless of what either of them was wearing. But even setting the history aside entirely, the dress itself was a genuine statement on its own merits. The cutouts were placed with precision along the waistline, drawing the eye without ever feeling gratuitous. The slit was daring without tipping into inappropriate territory for a wedding ceremony, and the halter neckline gave the whole thing a strong, confident shape that photographed beautifully whether she was standing still or mid-conversation with other guests. There's also something worth saying about the risk involved in a look this bold at somebody else's wedding. Waist cutouts and a thigh-high slit could easily read as trying to compete with the bride for attention. But because the silhouette stayed sleek and controlled rather than loud or attention-grabbing in color, it walked that line perfectly, bold without ever threatening to overshadow the one dress that mattered most that day. It's a look that understood the assignment and then found a way to make it deeply personal, turning a dress code into a genuine statement. Out of everyone on this entire guest list, nobody else was carrying quite that much emotional weight into the ceremony, and the fact that the dress matched the moment so perfectly is exactly why she's landing so high on our list tonight. And for that, it's a 9 for me. Number 3. Jada Pinkett Smith. At number 3, Jada Pinkett Smith showed up in a column gown featuring a built-in bow tie detail at the neckline, blending sharp menswear tailoring with a sleek, body-skimming shape. This is the kind of look that takes real confidence to pull off, because it's playing with masculine and feminine tailoring cues at the exact same time. And if it's not executed with precision, it can very easily read as costumey rather than chic. On her, it landed exactly where it needed to. The column silhouette kept the whole look sleek and elongated from shoulder to floor, while that bow tie detail gave it just enough visual interest and personality to stand apart from the sea of standard black gowns filling the rest of the guest list. It's a sharp, tailored, thoughtful choice, and it's exactly the kind of styling risk that pays off when someone actually commits to it fully, rather than second-guessing it halfway through. What's especially notable is how effortless it read, despite how technically difficult that balance actually is. A column silhouette leaves almost no room to hide a fit issue, and a bow tie detail at the neckline could very easily tip into gimmick territory if it wasn't tailored with real precision. Instead, it came across as one of the sharpest, most quietly confident looks of the entire night. The kind of dress that doesn't need a bold color or dramatic slit to hold its own in a room full of statement gowns, proof that tailoring alone can be its own kind of statement. And for that, it's an 8 for me. Number 4. Hailey Bieber. At number 4, Hailey Bieber arrived in a sparkling halter gown with her hair swept up into an elegant updo. Hailey has built an entire reputation around quiet luxury, model off-duty dressing, the kind of understated, expensive-looking basics that dominate her usual public appearances. But this look proved she can absolutely turn it up when the occasion calls for it. The halter silhouette elongated her frame beautifully, drawing the eye upward toward that swept-back hair, and that sparkle caught the light in a way that photographed as genuinely luminous rather than gaudy, which is a hard balance to strike with embellished fabric under variable outdoor lighting. There's a real skill in choosing a dress that reads as glamorous in the golden late-afternoon Malibu sun and still holds up once the evening light shifts and the reception moves indoors or under string lights. And by every account, this one managed both without losing any of its shine. Paired with Justin in his classic suit, the two of them were reportedly one of the more visually coordinated couples at the entire wedding. Each dressed correctly for the occasion, while still bringing their own distinct energy to it, complementary without ever feeling matchy or overly coordinated, which is exactly the blueprint every couple attending a black tie event together should be following. And for that, it's an 8 for me. Number 5. Teyana Taylor. At number 5, the multi-talented Teyana Taylor arrived at the ceremony with her hair styled in an elegant updo, going bold in a fully beaded gown for the occasion. Beadwork at this scale is genuinely difficult to pull off without looking overdone. Every inch of that fabric has to catch the light correctly, move correctly, and sit correctly against the body. And by all accounts, hers did exactly that. It's the kind of embellished statement piece that photographs differently in every single shot depending on the angle and the light, catching a completely different shimmer walking down the aisle than it does standing still for photos afterward, which is exactly what makes a beaded gown worth the effort in the first place. Taylor has built a career on exactly this kind of fearless, texture-forward styling, from her own red carpet moments to her work as a stylist and creative director for other artists, so a beaded gown at an event this photographed tracks completely with her established eye. There's also a real technical skill required to keep a fully beaded gown feeling elegant rather than costume-heavy at an outdoor evening event. The weight of the beading has to be balanced correctly across the fabric so it drapes rather than stiffens. And getting that engineering right is part of what separates a genuinely great embellished gown from one that just looks busy. Out of a guest list full of sleek, minimal black silhouettes, Taylor's willingness to go texture-forward and genuinely bold is exactly the kind of choice that earns a spot this high on our list. And for that, it's a 7 for me. Number 6. Victoria VRL. At number 6, Victoria VRL. Kylie Jenner's former assistant reportedly wore a black sequined gown pulled from the archives on her way to the wedding. Anybody with the right budget can walk into a store and buy something black and sparkly off a current rack. Sourcing an archival piece, rather than buying off a current rack, takes real fashion knowledge, patience, and the confidence to wear a piece with history sewn into every seam. And it gave her look a depth most of the other black dresses on this guest list simply couldn't compete with. That gown carries a story that a fast turnaround rental or a same-season purchase simply can't replicate, and choosing to track it down specifically for this event, rather than defaulting to whatever was easiest, shows a level of intentionality that's rare even among a guest list this fashion literate. It's proof that time in the fashion industry, working alongside someone like Kylie, genuinely rubs off on a person's eye. And for that, it's a 7 for me. Number 7. Olandria Kven. At number 7, Love Island USA alum Olandria Carr then showed up in a corseted gown that made its way around social media not long after the ceremony wrapped, one she was confident enough in to share herself across her own platforms rather than let it fade into somebody else's photo gallery. The corseted silhouette did exactly what a good corset gown should do. It defined her shape through the waist and read as intentional and structured, rather than just another black dress lost in the crowd of guests. There's also something to be said for the confidence it takes to post your own wedding guest look before the paparazzi galleries even circulate, essentially betting on your own outfit before anyone else gets to weigh in first. And that bet paid off here. That's the kind of look that photographs beautifully from multiple angles and holds up under real scrutiny once fans start zooming in and picking apart every detail. Coming off a season of reality television that put her under constant public evaluation, choosing a look this considered for one of the most photographed weddings of the summer was also a smart way to control her own narrative on her own terms, rather than leaving that story entirely up to whoever happened to catch her on camera first. And for that, it's a 7 for me. Number 8. Justine Skye. At number 8, singer Justine Skye made sure her look didn't go unnoticed, sharing a carousel of photos from the coastline showing off a form-fitting gown with a sweetheart neckline. There's a reason the sweetheart neckline remains such a popular choice for formal events season after season. It's flattering across a range of body types, and paired with a body-conscious silhouette like the one Skye chose, it reads as effortlessly glamorous rather than overly done or costume-like. Posing along the Malibu coastline with the ocean as a natural backdrop was a smart styling move on her part, using the venue itself to elevate the whole look even further. The kind of instinct that separates guests who understand their own image from guests who are just along for the ride. As a working musician who understands the value of a good photo moment, she treated this wedding as an occasion worth documenting properly, rather than just showing up and hoping for the best. And that same instinct is exactly what's built her a loyal following across her music career. Understanding that image and artistry go hand in hand rather than existing as two separate things. And for that, it's a 6 for me. Number 9, Willow Smith. At number 9, Willow Smith, daughter of our number 3 best-dressed Jada Pinkett Smith, kept things noticeably more understated than her usual avant-garde instincts might suggest, playing well within the requested black tie code, rather than pushing the kind of boundary-testing choices she's known for on red carpets, whether that's crystal-embellished bras and coats or dramatic textural layering. There's something to be said for restraint at somebody else's wedding, especially when your entire public persona is built around fashion as artistic expression. And choosing to let the day belong to the bride, rather than to her own personal style statement, is its own quietly correct decision. It's a different kind of best dressed than the show-stopping texture-heavy looks she's known for, but appropriateness counts for a lot at a wedding this photographed, and she read the room correctly. Sometimes the most interesting choice a genuinely experimental dresser can make is proving she's not locked into one gear, that she can dial things back completely when the occasion calls for it, and still land somewhere firmly on the best dressed side of the ledger. And for that, it's a 6 for me. Number 10. Gayle King. Closing out our list, veteran broadcaster Gayle King rounded out the guest list, looking every bit as polished as you'd expect from someone who spent decades on the other side of countless red carpets and press lines. King has a reliable, put-together sense of style that rarely misses, favoring clean lines and correct formality over any kind of flashy statement. And that same dependable elegance carried her through this occasion. There's a certain kind of expertise that comes from interviewing countless people at countless high-profile events over the years. An instinct for exactly what a photo-ready moment requires. And even without a single standout detail circulating from this particular appearance, that instinct clearly showed. It's not the loudest look on this list, but it's exactly the kind of appropriately dressed, camera-ready appearance you'd expect from someone with her level of experience being photographed at exactly this kind of event. And closing out a list this strong, on that kind of quiet reliability, feels like the right note to end on. Proof that not every best-dressed moment needs a dramatic slit or an archival pull to earn its place. And for that, it's a 6 for me. And that brings us to the end of our countdown. 10 looks, 10 women from a wedding that brought together basketball royalty and Hollywood royalty under one Malibu sky, all wrapped around a genuinely emotional love story 6 years is in the making. Jordyn Woods topped our list exactly the way she should have, not with one dress, but 3, each one telling its own part of the story of her wedding day. Kylie Jenner's full-circle friendship moment, Jada's bow tie gown, Teyana's beadwork, and Victoria's archival find rounded out a guest list that proved a strict black dress code doesn't have to mean a boring one. From corseted silhouettes shared proudly online to sparkling halter necklines to quiet, correct polish from the women who let the day belong to the couple, this was a genuinely strong showing across the board. What's genuinely striking, looking back across all 10 of these looks together, is just how many completely different approaches to the same restrictive dress code ended up working. There was no single formula here, no one silhouette or fabric or styling trick that everybody leaned on to stand out. Jordyn used 3 separate dresses to tell 3 separate chapters of the same day. Kylie used precision cutouts to turn a strict dress code into something deeply personal. Victoria reached into fashion history instead of a current showroom. Teyana leaned all the way into texture and shine, while nearly everyone else stayed sleek and minimal. And on the other end of that spectrum, Willow and Gail proved that sometimes the most correct move at somebody else's wedding is simply not trying to make it about yourself at all. That range is exactly what makes a guest list like this one so much fun to break down. And it's a genuine reminder that all black was never really a limitation here, so much as it was a blank canvas. One that 10 very different women all found 10 very different ways to fill. Now it's your turn. Scroll down to the comments and let me know, did I get this ranking right? Was Jordyn's 3-dress run the right call for the top spot? Or did somebody else's single look deserve to edge her out on her own wedding day? Maybe you think Teyana's beadwork deserved to crack the top 3. Or maybe you think one of the quieter, more understated looks near the bottom of this list actually earned more credit than I gave it. That's exactly the kind of debate I love reading through, so don't hold back. Congratulations again to Karl-Anthony Towns and Jordyn Woods on their wedding, wishing them nothing but happiness as they start this next chapter together. And if you made it all the way to the end of this video, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one when it goes live, because we've got plenty more red carpets and guest lists like this one coming. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.